Hugh Hefner founded Playboy Enterprises nearly 60 years ago and is a walking embodiment of the suave and debonair characteristics the magazine promotes in every issue. But at 86 years old, Hefner has earned his break, and he's ready to pass the torch as Playboy's frontman to his youngest son, 21-year-old Cooper Hefner, who hopes to become involved in Playboy after he graduates from Chapman College in 2014. In an exclusive interview with the Wall Street Journal, Cooper and the elder Hefner discussed their relationship and the future of Playboy. Your father just said that you're the heir apparent. What do you think about that, first of all?
Well, I admire my dad and everything that he stood for in the 60s and 70s and still stands for. So, I mean, it's an honor, to say the least, to carry on the family legacy.
What is it that you see for Playboy in the future?
I think we live in a digital age, and I think that's something that Dad has done really well, is kept up with that. The fact that he's on Twitter is pretty cool. Awesome. And I think that that's, you know, the new frontier for the magazine as well as the rest of the company. Mm-hmm. So making that leap is what's gonna, you know, be the challenge.
And you yourself, you're involved in filmmaking.
Yeah.
As a hobby right now?
Yeah. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I'm studying film.
Okay.
So I'm a film production major at school, and I think that probably a large part of that passion has come from my dad. I mean, we grew up watching a lot of the old classic Universal monster movies, and I just fell in love with the idea of picking up a camera and being able to, you know, create your own world.
How will film be a part of the Playboy brand in the future?
I think that, I mean, Dad had involvement back in the day with some production, but I, because I love movies, would like to see the brand be more involved in production. I am dying to see this film of Dad's life made.
Yeah, the simple truth of the matter is he is interested in the future. Communication increasingly is visual.
Right.
So, you know, his natural bent is where the future lies.
And he said he would like to see the movie made. He should play you because he looks just like you when you were his age. Mm-hmm. Who would you like to see play your father?
Robert Downey Jr. is fantastic. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got that suave Bruce Wayne feel. Bradley Cooper. I mean, there's a lot of great people out there.
Is it hard to be his son? Do you feel any pressure to be a Renaissance man or a Playboy type figure?
I think I would have felt pressure if he would have pressured me to be that. And to tell you the truth, he's always been somebody who's advocated follow your own dreams. I mean, I'm not here because I have to be here. I'm here because I want to be here. So.
And how much of his kind of lifestyle have you picked up in your personal life?
Well, I haven't picked up on the 4 girlfriends. I leave that to Dad. So he can keep handling that department. But I mean, you know, I'm still figuring it out.
When you look at your role at the company now, what kinds of things are you doing to prepare?
I get a lot of joy in watching Dad edit the magazine. It's almost like I make the joke that I feel like sometimes I'm in 2 universities because I leave school and then I come here, and it's, you know, you learn from the best when you get to, you know, meet with our executives and travel around and really understand how the company works as a machine. So that's what I've been doing, and taking a lot of pleasure in doing it.
And you are actually probably in a position where you can teach your dad a few things because you're in touch with technology.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a pretty good handle on it, to tell you the truth. He
But he also has a connection, obviously, with you know, a younger generation and their point of view.
But it was not my, I mean, he was on Twitter before I even made the recommendation. So
who got you on Twitter?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was probably a girlfriend, but I'm not sure.
Just one of them.
It just, you know, it's a nice way to get a playback from your audience, so you can communicate with them, but they can, you know, respond.
Right. And a lot of what you're going to be doing is marketing, and you're sitting next to the master marketer here. Does this mean that we're going to start seeing you out front and on the red carpet and having parties and getting your name out there?
We'll see. One of my focuses is school, so that is the one thing that's holding me back from being fully involved in the company. But I would say, right when I finish, I intend on being heavily involved.
Okay.
The reality is, however, that in the last few months, he has gone and represented the brand in London and Rio. So he's out there.
Yeah.
Tell me about those experiences. What were those activities?
It's like a kid in a candy store.
What did you do when you were at these events?
I hosted actually New Year's at our London club, which was just unbelievable. I felt like I had stepped back into the 60s and 70s. We were, wearing suits. It was snowing in London. It was fantastic. And Rio was, we went down there for Carnival. So that was just unbelievable.
How were you received?
In both places, very well. Very well.
Are you studying any business, or are you getting that hands-on?
No, I am. I've taken a lot of business classes. But again, I'm in probably the most fortunate position I could be in. How can you learn? I can't learn what I am learning now in a classroom.
Your brother's not as interested in becoming involved.
I think that he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. We're both in college. That's the idea. I've changed my major 3 times since I've been at school, so I'm still figuring it out as well.
And are you open to having him share the helm at some point?
Absolutely. He's my brother. That's what family is.
So there's been no tension or anything
No.
about that?
No, never.
Where do you see things headed?
Like I said, I think that the internet is the future. But I also think that I'm somebody, maybe it is because of who my dad is, but I love picking up a magazine and reading it. And I think that there are a lot of people like me. And so I think that...
Young people.
Yeah. So I think that print is not dying out, as many would say. I think that print is just going through an evolution.
What is the balance that you'll strike? Will print be 20% of what you're doing? Will it be 50% of what you're doing?
No, I think it's hard to say, but I don't see the physical magazine going anywhere for a long time.
Right.
It remains, I think, in other words, the business grows in a lot of other directions, but the magazine, I think, remains the heart and soul.
It's still your core.
Yeah.
Well, it was the beginning.
With young people that you're going to school with, what is the perception of the Playboy brand?
I think that there's a very positive perception. I think that there is a misunderstood perception, but I think that has always existed.
And what is it, even with the young people, what is that? What is the misperception?
I think that religion has a lot to do with the misperception of the brand. I think that dad challenging the social norm. This is somebody who has 4 girlfriends, but this is also somebody who always challenged what was stereotypically normal.
So how do you keep that tension alive?
How do I keep...
Because that's part of the success of the brand, is the tension, the constant, this guy being on the front lines advocating for the sexual revolution. How do you keep that alive?
You have the same drive and motivation to do it.
And that there are the other 6 girls out there waiting to become girlfriends. See?
That's good too.
That's
not bad.
You might have to jump on board.
Yeah, we'll see. So I'm still impressed with how he does it. So,
have you learned anything from him about that?
About girlfriends?
Yeah.
Yes, I've learned that he's a good manager. I think that he's good. I think that you have to be if you're going to have. It's hard enough for me to have one girlfriend. So.
Are you ready to have your life opened up?
I am. I've grown up with, even though there is this perception of dad always being, and he was always on the front line and always talking and always advocating. My brother and I were kind of kept from the limelight to a certain extent. So I'm used to it, watching Dad, but I think that, yeah, to answer your question, I would say yes, I am ready.
How are you different than your father?
I'm not wearing pajamas.
What? I noticed that the shoes and socks are not too different.
I know. I think that we're actually a lot alike, to tell you the truth. Not purposely, it just happened like that. Our love for movies, by coincidence, both grew up drawing, loving. I mean, it's creative, and I think that, again, I picked up probably a lot of that from Dad.
Yeah. He's a lot like me. In other words, I see the same interests and variations on the theme that I had at the same time. He does comic books, he does movies, it's the same thing as I was doing when I was in my teens.
What are you most proud of about your father?
I'm most proud of seeing how he has impacted other people's lives. I'm proud of the change that he's made. I think that, to tell you the truth, it was kind of, I think everybody has this perception of what it's like to be his son, and I really didn't have any sort of idea as to what he did until I was an adult. And I watched the Bridget Berman documentary and was blown away. And I was like, I remember having a conversation with Dad and asking him, he's modest, so he didn't tell me a lot of the stuff. I didn't know that he was, I knew that he had fought for the civil rights movement. I knew that he had fought for, gender equality and all that stuff, but I didn't know to what extent, and to learn about that stuff was just inspiring, and I think that it's motivated me to be more a part of the legacy.
Was there a point that you developed this thirst for studying your father and to actually learning more?
Yeah, there was. I think that every boy, like every son, wants to know, how his dad operates, and I have the luxury of having 2,000 scrapbooks upstairs that tell me exactly how he operates.
Because of his scrapbook collection.
Yeah, he's collected everything.
Is some of it hard to read? Some of the criticism against your father?
Not at all. Not at all.
That's part of what it's all about. You don't change things if there isn't controversy.
And there's going to be plenty more of it. This decision of you taking over, do you feel any pressure?
Again, no, because there's no pressure put forth by either of my parents. I think that that's where a lot of the pressure comes from, and I'm comfortable with who I am. I don't feel a need to be anybody but myself. So,
when you grew up here, you actually grew up next door. What are some of the fondest memories you have of that time?
I don't think I really understood how ideal it was when it was there, but to, have your parents who are separated living next door to each other with the houses combined is pretty remarkable. And I know that they did that for my brother and I, and I'm appreciative of that. So.
And then your father talked about how he made a special effort when you were younger to make sure that he connected with you and your brother. What was that like? How tight were you growing up?
I would say, I would comment on what he said before. I think that him and I are a lot closer now than we've ever been. And that's what matters.
And you're a creative person, so do you see yourself being more of the creative vision?
I enjoy the creative side, I think, more than the business side, but I also want to know about the business side. So,
I wanted to thank you, Hugh Hefner, for this interview.
My pleasure, enjoyed it.
In Cooper. And with Cooper and Hugh Hefner, I'm Lee Hawkins. We'll see you next time.